at this point, the Dodgers still being the first horse in that race. The biggest thing for me is over the course of the first 2 months is the starters have to go deeper into the games. That's the biggest thing for me, is that it's just this is not sustainable, right? You cannot have guys going at minimum, they have to go 5 innings per game. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is I want them to try to go at least, remember back in the day where guys would just go 6 innings and then you would bring in your 7th inning guy, your 8th inning guy, and your closer. Long gone are those days, but I would like to see some more innings. The olden days, remember the time back in my day. I would like to see guys go deeper into ball games, because this is not sustainable, Clint, for this bullpen. We're already down massive arms in this bullpen.
Yeah, this doesn't help.
Trinan being out is killing us. Evan Phillips being out is killing us. Alex Vestia hasn't been that great. Tanner Scott just had the blown save. Kirby Yates isn't there. I mean, this is a problem. As you look at this graphic, this is unbelievable. This on X from The Athletic, $102 million is on the injured list right now, guys. More than the total payroll of the teams that you see there. And Tyler Glasnow with his hand over his mouth, that's kind of how I feel. So it's like, OMG. Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of talent. Again, we know when your team is missing $102 million, and that's what makes the Dodgers so good, is and it upsets other teams around the league, is that they can have enough depth to be missing $102 million worth of just pitchers and still have a 2-game lead in the National League West. But it has been a problem missing those starters. We've talked about it ad nauseum, not having Blake Snell. We talked to Mark Pryor about it. That the expectation was he was going to be a big time innings eater for this ball club, and we're seeing all of the fallout with that. Go into the bullpen. This one was great. This one somebody posted on the Twitter machine.
This is startling. The Haesung Kim Muse. This is startling. All you can see is Anthony Bonda and Ben Kasparius and Alex Vestia. Everybody else has either been sent to the moon, they've retired, or they're hurt.
They're hurt. Yeah, you have Edgardo Henriquez going from I'm not going to go through all of them, but Henriquez, Michael Grove, Blake Trinan in there, Evan Phillips in there, Brusdar Graterol, all these dudes on the IL, Michael Kopech on the IL, of course, Danny Hudson retired, Joe Kelly. We don't know the status of Joe Kelly, to be honest. He says he wants to come back, but I don't know how well his shoulder is doing. I don't know if that's really going to be an option for them at this point, but missing that many pieces from those vaunted bullpen dogs. Hey, we need a sign, Alana. Missing. My dog is missing right now. The bullpen is missing the dogs.
The bullpen dogs are missing too. And you know what's crazy is we did have that conversation with Mark Pryor the other day. I always love when the coaches are willing to take some time to be with us. And you know, they are. We're paying the price for last October. I mean, a lot of guys were on fumes last year, not just the pitchers, but also, I mean, Freddie Freeman was playing with everything was broken. You know, I mean, there's just a lot of things that were going on in October. Obviously, they got the ultimate prize, right? They won the World Series, but now you're seeing what's happening as a result of these guys. And again, no one's going to feel sorry for the Los Angeles Dodgers, especially the other 29 teams that are out there. No one feels sorry for us, but the fact of the matter is, I think it's going to wear on this bullpen. So let's get some of the starters back.
But at the same time, you know, this was a team that was supposed to have the kind of depth to where these things wouldn't matter as much. And obviously, you know, when it comes to pitching injuries, there's only so many guys you can lose before, even if you have other options that you like, some of those consequences start to add up.
I mean, luckily with the depth of this team, that's where they're able to find themselves still in first place, 2-game lead and all that. But at some point, you do start running out of bullets you could fire here, and we're seeing the ramifications of all the injuries definitely take its toll on that bullpen. Tough getaway day in Cleveland. Dave Roberts saying, we're not used to giving up games late, and Tanner Scott finding his way to being not a fan favorite in the early goes of the season, even if like some of the advanced numbers are a little more favorable than the ERA and the results. What's been the biggest issue? One for the bullpen, which we've kind of already addressed, but also with Tanner Scott. Would you say your assessment right now is his job as the closer secure?
I mean, I think his job as the closer is okay for right now, just because, there's not a lot of other options that they have to turn to. I think, this stuff has been okay. His fastball has been playing down a little bit. That's obviously not been helpful. But when you look at some of these games that have gotten sideways on him, including this one in Cleveland yesterday, the game in New York on Friday, the recurring theme is he can get ahead in the count, he can get guys to 2 strikes, and he's making too many mistakes on pitches in those situations that are over the plate. I think it's reflected in the fact that just the amount of throws he's made in the zone this year are way up compared to his career average. It's something that he and the Dodgers coaches said, hasn't been by design. So the good news for the Dodgers is that that's something that is, it's not a stuff thing. It's not a mechanics thing. It's more of just an executing pitches in the right locations, in the right situations that they're trying to get him to do a little bit better. And yeah, I think with the rest of the bullpen, you're starting to see some of the effects of a heavy workload. You're seeing guys like Luis Garcia even not be as effective as he's had to pitch a lot. You saw Kirby Yates go down after having to pitch a ton early in the season. And you're seeing like every night, even in these games that the Dodgers take leads, it's a pretty delicate balancing act trying to get through those final couple innings and then get Tanner Scott to close the game down. So I think overall, again, like with the rotation, when they get healthy, when they get the arms back they were expecting to have at the start of the season, it's going to be a different looking group. But right now, the margin for error is very fine, and it's made the bad outings that some of these guys, especially Tanner Scott, has had, just stick out that much more.
Yeah, it seems like it's magnified because we're looking at it so closely because of the 200 names that are on the IL. Jack, who of those names are coming back quickly? Who's going to be back sooner rather than later? And who do you think can make the most impact on this roster of the guys that we hope to get back soon?
Tyler Glasnow, of the starters who are hurt, is the one who seems to be furthest ahead. He got off of a mound while the Dodgers were on this road trip. He's been kind of progressing steadily since going down with his shoulder injury. Blake Snell, not far behind him. Roki Sasaki is starting a throwing progression this week. That's a good sign for the Dodgers. And then obviously you have Shohei Ohtani, who probably won't be back in the rotation until after the All-Star break. That's the time frame that Dave Roberts has targeted. But is back to throwing live BPs and really kind of ramping up, going through those final check boxes to get back to being a full-time two-way player. So I think, ideally within a month for the Dodgers, they're going to have most of that.
Yeah, Roki Sasaki, just one of the arms, Jack, that's on the IL, $102 million on the injured list just in pitching alone. Let's talk about the Dodgers bullpen a bit. Do they just hold serve in terms of waiting to get some of these guys back in terms of the trade deadline? Or do they go out on the trade market and try to find some bullpen arms? It seems like all 30 teams could use it.
Yeah, I think some of it depends just on how things progress over the next couple months, right? If you can get Blake Trinan back at some point, if you get Michael Kopech back, if you get Evan Phillips back, and they're all pitching well, then that's probably less of a need. If you can get Tanner Scott back to the level you thought he would be, if you can get Alex Vezina to be a little more consistent and limit some of the home run issues he's had, then you probably feel good about that group. Obviously, you're going to have Brusdar Graterol coming back at some point too, and you have a whole litany of younger starting pitchers who could also, step into bullpen roles in the same way Ben Kasparius has. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be a need, but it is something that if some of those more established veteran guys like a Trinan, like Evan Phillips, like Tanner Scott, either don't come back healthy or don't show some real improvements in their performance, that is something I think the Dodgers could look at the deadline to try to bolster, especially if there are some questions in the rotation. I don't foresee them making a big splash to get a starting pitcher this year. They just have too many options. But if there's some uncertainty about how the rotation might look in the long term, it makes bolstering the bullpen that much more important. I mean, we saw it in the postseason last year, how much they had to lean on that group to win a World Series. So time will tell there. Obviously trading for relievers at the deadline is not the most economical thing to do in the view of a lot of the Dodgers front office officials. But at the same time, it's something they have done before over the last couple of years and have found some productive arms that have helped that group in past seasons. So I don't think they want to have to be in a position to be trying to, buy a bunch of pitching at the deadline. But given the way the season's gone so far, it's definitely a possibility at this